Hello my friends and welcome back to another Brotato Danger 5 Paws and Claws run. Hope you're all doing well. I haven't been doing that well. I've been very sick the last week, and so today, in honor of that, we're going to play the sickest run in Brotato, the Sick, with the Sickle. This is a very powerful character and a very powerful weapon, but a surprisingly difficult run, I think, because they don't synergize that well. The Sick really wants to be playing at super long range, just life-stealing to offset the damage over time that you're taking. And the Sickle, obviously, is a weapon that requires you to be up close to hit the enemies. So I think this is a more difficult run than it might look like at first glance. We did get a claw tree here, and so I will take that. The Sickle gets 80% melee damage scaling, so even though it scales with harvesting, and we're going to obviously try to scale it as much as possible by buying as much harvesting as possible, melee damage is still good, and it has 2x crit damage, so crit chance is also pretty nice as well. Here, though, I am going to roll for harvesting, because of course we want that to boost our damage output and our economy. Cake is good enough that I'm going to lock it here. Charcoal, I could ban it. I think I will do that. It's a pretty inefficient way to buy melee damage, and it costs us harvesting, which we don't want to lose on this character. And then injection I'll leave in the pool. Sickle, of course, we'll buy. We're going to roll here, buy another Sickle, lock a lemonade, and roll a couple more times looking for more weapons. Only found 3, which is a little disappointing. Obviously, with a support weapon, you want to get as many copies of it as possible so that you can get your harvesting online as quickly as possible, especially with the Sickle, which really wants to find more of itself so that you can increase your damage and economy as well. Also, I should say, you know, I mentioned I was sick, but it's nothing to worry about. I just thought that was a fun intro. Let's roll here and look for harvesting. Roll again, and one more time here. All right, we missed 1,000,000 times. I'll take the 1 armor, and then I'm going to roll again. Really getting unlucky on these rerolls, but I guess I'll just take a 2nd armor, and we'll buy a Sickle, and we'll reroll, and reroll again, and then I can lock another weapon here, and we'll take a cake. We've had some pretty bad luck rolling weapon levels and rolling stats so far. Obviously, you want a lot of harvesting, and you want a lot of copies of Sickle right away, and we've definitely not gotten off to the strongest start. It is right to roll pretty aggressively to find harvesting early on this character, because it increases your damage and obviously increases your harvesting, so it's super high value, but we did get a little unlucky finding it so far. Here, I'm going to reroll again, take 5 harvesting, and then we'll buy a Sickle, and now we can buy bag and lemonade, and then roll. Broken Mouth, a great find. Weird Food, also a great find. Do I want to buy it, or do I want to lock it and reroll looking for a weapon? I really want to find my 6th Sickle, so I'm going to lock the Weird Food and reroll, and then, while we have a guaranteed weapon in the shop, and I'll do it again, and we can buy another Sickle. We happened to have enough money to be able to do that, but so important to get our full support weapon tag online, so even though we rerolled with some locked items there, giving up a little bit of shop value, it was better to do that and find our weapon while as early as possible than to see more items that we wouldn't be buying yet anyways. So we've increased our damage by quite a bit, which is nice. Alright, we did get the 2nd Curse Alien spawned in an okay spot for us, but I still didn't quite have the damage to kill it there. Here, I'm going to take 10 attack speed. We already have 40 harvesting, so I don't need to roll hard for harvesting in this spot, though I will take 5 harvesting here. And attack speed matters a lot for this weapon. It's a pretty short-ranged weapon, and it matters a lot for the Sick, because lifesteal is your main method of healing. Here, I'll take the fertilizer. I'll ban the Gummy Berserker, just a very bad item that we don't want. Another claw tree. We have reduced our melee damage already, so I think I'm going to roll past the claw tree here. And I want the lemonade and the cake. Do I want to try to roll for weapon levels? because I could lock these items and roll and re-roll. But I think I'm just going to take the lemonade here, lock the cake, and go to wave 5. Because this weapon combo doesn't synergize super well, we actually do have to be a little bit picky with what we buy, because we need to be able to have enough lifesteal that we can survive running into the middle of groups of enemies, and enough damage that we can kill elites really fast. The Sick can sometimes struggle with elites with melee weapons, because if you're right up against them, in order to trigger your lifesteal, you're often going to be taking more damage than you can lifesteal. So with this weapon, we need to focus on dealing as much damage to elites as possible to make sure that we can survive. Here I'm going to again take 5 harvesting, and then we will level up our weapon, buy a cake. I have negative move speed, so I do need to buy the compass here, I think. Unfortunate, it's not an efficient way to buy move speed, but it is what we need. And then we'll buy a sickle, and I'll do one more reroll, lock a cake, and a shady potion as well. Increased luck is good, because luck is also a healing stat, so it works well with our lifesteal. And when you're right up against enemies, as this character always will be, you're always going to be able to pick up the consumable right away when it drops. Now, the Sick is a little worse at using consumable heal than other characters, because often the 1 damage ticks will cause you to pick up the consumable when you don't need the full heal from it. So one item that's really powerful for this character is the Jerky, which means that you always get the full healing value from consumables, even if you pick them up when you've only taken 1 damage. Here, I'll take 7 crit chance. This weapon does have 2x crit damage, so it works reasonably well with crit chance. Also gives us an option to find things like Tentacle later on. Then we'll level our sickle by cake and shady potion and roll again. And I definitely want the coffee and the sickle here. I guess I'll just level my weapons evenly. Do I want the goat skull? So we do get 80% melee damage scaling. So even though we have harvesting scaling on this weapon, buying some melee damage is fine. But I think goat skull is an inefficient enough way to do that I'm just going to ban it out here and take a reroll. And then Peaceful Bee. Yeah, I can buy that. It costs me a melee damage, but gives me some of that damage back in the form of harvesting. And then we'll just buy lens because we're never building ranged, or ban lens because we're never building ranged damage. Banning mostly from level 1. One of the items that I actually really want to find is a rat. This character has higher starting HP, so the rats are really good for it in terms of damage output. And they're also really nice with your lifesteal, because pets can lifesteal. And it gives you a way to lifesteal at range, even though we're using a melee weapon. So an item like a cat or a rat is a really big deal for the build that we have, and something that I will prioritize getting for sure if we see it. Let's go ahead and pick up that tree, get this consumable heal. Having +2 consumable heal is pretty nice. Just gives us a lot more leeway as well. Yeah, I'll take the Blazemander here. This is just a healing item for us. The actual burning damage isn't significant, but it will sometimes lifesteal, so it's fine. And then I definitely need to pick up 3 armor, because our armor is really low. I'll buy the Peaceful Bee and bag, and I could ban the Scared Sausage for a free reroll. I could also just buy it, and maybe there's some synergy items. Though some of the best synergy items with elemental damage are, like one of the best ones is Fried Rice, which this character can't really use. So we're just going to ban the Scared Sausage here and take our free reroll. I'll buy the beanie and the fresh meat. One of the things with the ban system that I think is worth keeping in mind as well is that one of the best ways to use your bans is on just getting a free reroll. Because if you ban an item that you don't want to see, then you are... Like, the best case scenario is you get remove... It would have shown up 2 more times, maybe, during that run. And so you see 2 items that you wouldn't have seen if you hadn't banned the item by the end of the run. if you ban an item and just get a free reroll, you immediately see 4 new items. So you're getting more value from just the free reroll than you would have by banning the item if it was one that you don't want. So you should almost always ban like the last item in the shop, unless it's one that you really specifically want, because you see more items that way. Here, I do want the baby gecko. I guess I'll buy the lumberjack shirt first, but I think I am going to lock all of these items. Fruit basket is really nice for this character. The minus regen doesn't matter at all, of course, and consumable healing is a really big part of our healing setup, so we're very happy to see that. The insanity is great because not only does crit damage work well for this weapon, it gives us the potential to roll into hunting trophy or tentacle as well. Tentacle would be a good way to heal, and hunting trophy, of course, great economic item. My major goal here is just going to be to get enough armor that we can just charge directly into big groups of enemies and use our lifesteal to survive, even as we take damage in return from them. So armor and dodge are pretty high priority for this character. Obviously, in order to make that work, we still need enough other basic stats. I'll take 8% damage here. My percent damage is very low. And then I'm going to buy out this whole shop. Can I afford it all in one go? Looks like not quite. So this is a spot where I could ban one of these items, like the baby gecko, for example, which is okay, but not amazing for us. And I think I will, in fact, even though I was planning to buy it, I'm just going to ban it because we get to see some new items right away. And that way we've gotten, a lot of value out of that ban. Whetstone, I think, is worth locking here. You don't need that much more lifesteal on the sick, but buying a little more can't hurt. And bandana, is that worth buying just for the curse? 5 curse is a lot, and it gives us a lot more curse value. Our projectiles don't really matter, though it would if we got a cat, because the lifesteal would be pretty helpful. I think I'm gonna pass on the bandana here. I could have locked it to ban it as well. Maybe that was better. But spending 150 on just 5 curse didn't seem that powerful for us. Not the type of thing that this build needs. This build doesn't really need like specific strong cursed items in order to win. If the run just goes as normal and we buy a bunch of armor and a bunch of damage and whatever, our damage will scale itself because it's based on harvesting, which continuously increases. And our defensive stats are already partially taken care of by the fact that we start with 25% lifesteal. So we don't need to do anything wild to win this run. We just need to play it normally. And if we play just a strong, stable game, we're always going to win. $500 materials this wave. A silver bullet, really nice. Being able to kill elites faster is a big chunk of what will make this run easier. And then I will take 4 melee damage here, and then 2 armor. The melee damage, just increasing our base damage, is pretty nice. I do want to boost my damage enough that we can kill this elite fairly quickly, because where we could get into trouble is if we have to fight an elite and just don't have the damage to kill it fast enough. I guess I'll buy the hedgehog. It's a pretty inefficient way to buy melee damage, but still worth it, and then we can ban scope for a reroll here. Take the sickle, and then we'll buy these 2 items, and we'll reroll. Bottom mine, I guess I'll buy just as a healing item. It doesn't shoot that often, but with 30 lifesteal, it's still a reasonable amount of extra healing. And then I'll buy, I guess I'm buying this entire shop, because sunglasses, giving us 10 crit chance, even at the cost of 1 armor, which is a huge cost, is still pretty good. And having the bottom mine and the Blazemander means that we will be able to get a little bit more healing, even when we're not actively attacking. It's very important to this character to find ways to do that. Oh, I just walked into every attack there, and that's partly why, because now we can still, like, run off to that tree And the Blazemander is still healing us while we're doing that. So it's not as dangerous. Increasing my luck is a pretty substantial goal as well, because a big chunk of what makes you able to just charge into groups of enemies and confidently survive is getting consumable healing dropping from them. So having extra luck is really important to this type of melee character as well. Take the treasure map here. Turret, I don't really need in particular. I will take... I do want the harvesting there, but I need more max HP, so I'm going to take the level 3 max HP upgrade. And then we're going to buy all of these items. Really nice to get these weapon levels. Which of these do I want? Let's start with the whistle. Take the ritual, and I guess I'll just lock these other two as well. I'll throw in one reroll. Rolled into nothing. But basically the way to think of it is that the bottom mine attacks once every... roughly once a second, a little bit more than that. But if it has 33% lifesteal and it's attacking once a second, that's 1 health every 3 seconds. It's about the equivalent of buying 3 regeneration. So it's pretty good overall in terms of healing. And as we scale our lifesteal, it will be worth more. And it also, of course, does a little bit of extra damage, which obviously isn't a major component of what we're doing. But because I have duct tape and stuff, we have a little bit of extra engineering, making the damage not totally irrelevant either. Here, I probably need to roll for armor. I could take 10 harvesting as well. That's a lot of bonus damage from my weapons, but let's roll. I could also just take 6 melee damage if I'm worried specifically about this elite. Maybe I should actually do that, because it's, I think, going to be more damage overall than taking 12% damage. And while 8 armor isn't that much, I think killing the elite as quickly as possible is going to be the most important thing here. We can't get a free reroll here, so I'm just going to roll past all these. We'll buy the bonk dog, lock the snail, and then reroll, lock a sickle, and then for 20, I'm not going to reroll. Basically, I'm buying the melee damage there as kind of a tempo pickup, because we need to be able to kill this elite quickly before it can put me under too much health pressure. This was a lucky elite to get, because as long as I stay still next to it, or in a straight line next to it, we can lifesteal off of it freely and it will never hit us. So that was one of the easiest elites that we could have gotten there. But you can see that we were able to kill it in under 30 seconds, which definitely put us under a lot less pressure for this wave. So the strategy of taking a little bit of extra melee damage because we needed a little more damage for this wave worked out very well. I'd still love to get jerky. That's definitely an item that I'm really interested in. More pickup radius wouldn't be bad either, just to make our consumable healing more reliable. Lucky coin? Sure, I'll take that. I mean, it does cost me 2 armor, but we've built quite a lot of crit chance already, so that's a ton of luck, which is also a lot of healing. I think I will take 1 more melee damage upgrade for our sickles, and then I'm going to combine, buy a sickle, buy a snail. I'll take the sunglasses. I'm getting a little worried about how much we've reduced our armor, but hopefully we can find more pretty soon. And then hunting trophy, awesome find. We're definitely taking that. We'll buy the sickle, we'll buy lock the sickle, lock the medical turret, and I'll reroll, lock a broken mouth as well. The melee damage also does scale the bonk dog's damage, which again, not a huge component of our damage output, but not irrelevant. I think we have enough damage here as well that I can easily let the gobbler eat some materials, although our pets had other ideas. The dog just hunted it down. Finally caught the car it was chasing. But basically, the Gobbler multiplies the value of materials that it eats if you kill it. So if you are confident that you have enough damage to take it out, you can let it eat a bunch of dropped materials, and then you get more back from it when you actually kill it, as long as you do manage to kill it before the end of the wave. You can also see that we are able to make pretty good income. Like wave 13, 500 materials on Abyssal Terrors is a lot. So really nice to be able to do that. I do want more crit chance and melee damage. It looks like we're not going to be able to build dodge that efficiently in this run, so I'll just take the alloy here. We'll take some more harvesting. We'll buy another sickle, broken mouth, medical turret, another good way to heal. Extra stomach, we won't get full value off of the extra stomach most waves, probably, but it's still worth buying, I think. And then I'll take the mouse and lock these other two items as well, because I really need more movement speed, and the range isn't bad with our short-ranged weapon. But extra stomach, we should still be able to get at least some max HP every wave from it, and even if you get it on wave 14, and if it gives you, like, or we'll have it wave 15, but if you get it before the last few waves, and it gives you, 3 HP every wave, it's still a very efficient item, and we do need some more maximum health. So hopefully we can make good use of it. And although this character does have a damage over time effect and no regeneration, we're going to be full health a decent amount of the time. Like, if you look at the top left, during this wave, you'll have seen that we were full health for a lot of the wave. Certainly not all of it, but there's plenty of times when we are, and we would be getting extra stomach value. Sure, I'll take another medical turret. Taking 2 damage per second is a lot more than taking 1 damage per second, and it's pretty dangerous to take these damage over time items on the sick. That said, a cursed blood donation is incredible. For this character, 61 harvesting is so much damage that I am going to take it. I could start building dodge now, or I could just take attack speed or armor. I think I am going to take the armor even over the level 4 dodge upgrade. With 2 damage per second, we're a lot less likely to be able to get full value out of the extra stomach. So I'm considering maybe not taking it here, but I think we'll still get enough HP out of it to be worth it. Then I'll ban that, get a free reroll. This is an interesting spot, so I'm curious to see how the extra stomach works out. With the 2 damage per second, it's a lot less likely that we're at full health at any given time. So this is a bit of a science pick to see if we can actually still get value out of it, and if it ends up being worth nothing, we're strong enough that it's okay that we spent 300 materials on a bad item. Alright, so I am taking a lot of damage here. I'm going to kind of move to my medical turrets and to some consumables to stay at full health. When you're playing the sick, things go wrong really fast. You need to be pretty careful about maintaining your health, especially because we're taking 2 damage every second. So you'll notice that I am backing off from this type of fight much sooner than I would on other characters. We would wait until we were, at 25 or 30% health before I ran away from the elite on most characters. On this character, you want to run away much sooner when you're a melee version of the sick. Alright, so I'll take the panda here. That's an amazing item for us. I do need more movement speed still, so I'll take Clockwork Wasp. Also good with our medical turrets. And then I'm going to reroll and reroll again. Take, actually, we have a lot of HP now. I don't really need the health as much, so I'm just going to take 10 luck. How's our extra stomach doing? It gave us 4 HP last wave. That's more than I was expecting, given that we had the blood donation as well. Buy all of those. We'll buy a sickle and a weird food and head injury, and I'll lock the bowler hat, and then I will re-roll. Will-O-Wisp, we don't... I guess I have the Blazemander, but we don't have a use for elemental damage, really, so we'll pass on that. I'll roll again and take another fruit basket. Getting many of these is really nice as well. Very happy with that. Our damage is now quite high at this point, so we can kill a lot of these enemies very quickly, and that's the great thing about the sickle as a weapon, is that your damage scales. Even though we haven't bought a lot of damage items lately, our damage just continuously scales because harvesting increases every wave. Why this is one of the best weapons in the game overall. Nice. Get the audio cue for another loot alien kill. And I'll kill the tree here. Get a few curse alien kills as well. Definitely want those. Oh, another loot alien with 5 seconds remaining. And 850 materials that wave. We'll take the ritual. Gobbler's hat costing me a bunch of movement speed. Pretty dangerous, but I can fix that, and that's a lot of extra materials. I'll take the decomposing flesh. Even this late, it can still be okay. Boosting my maximum health. The injection, or boosting my lifesteal still does matter. We'll take the fertilizer, we'll take the cute monkey, of course, and then here, let's just take 3 more armor, going up to 10 armor. And then 2 more armor. The crit chance is nice. It's a lot of damage, but armor is the stat that we need by far the most at this point. So we're going to take it over pretty much everything, even in small amounts. And let's roll. Ashes. We would lose an armor at the end of every wave. But this is a pretty big bonus. I think what I'm going to do is lock the ashes, and we'll buy weapon levels here. So we'll buy a sickle, and I'll buy... Do I want the scar? If I buy the scar, I think there's a good chance that we hit level 25, so I'm going to buy it here, lock this level 1 sickle, and then we'll buy ashes next wave. Obviously, it's a little painful not to have it for this elite fight, especially if I walk into every attack like that. So I'm going to try to play around my medical turret. I have to wait for more enemies to spawn, basically, so there's stuff for us to lifesteal off of, and we're going to use the medical turret to try to stay alive here. And I'll run through the middle of that group of enemies. We get a lot of healing off of that. But this elite is really dangerous. Also, I am moving extremely poorly against it, but it's really hard to fight this elite as a melee character because it charges through you and puts attacks under you. Fortunately, we've built enough defensive stats. This is why I said armor is the most important stat for us as well, that I was able to survive, even though the Gobbler's hat made that a lot more dangerous, and I had very, very poor movement that wave. And especially because I am still pretty sick, it's important that my build support bad play. Okay, losing an armor, pretty bad, but the crit chance and range is really good. So we'll take the night goggles here. I'm going to roll again. And do I want just 1 armor? Because I'm going to buy the ashes. Okay, 20% attack speed, also really good. We'll take all of these items. And then I'll roll. Catling gun is really nice. I think that the barnacle will be worth a decent amount of stats as well. So I'm going to take the Catling gun, and I will take the metal detector, because the additional luck is just worth a lot of extra healing, mostly. Catling gun is great because it's a strong healing item for us with all of our lifesteal. I think that is also an important lesson, too. There are ways to build in this game that require really precise movement, and there are ways to build that don't. And if you are less experienced with the movement, or you just find this type of fast-paced game a little more difficult, like, there's certainly nothing wrong with that, and you can build your character in a way to mitigate that and make it easier. And in this case, you know, I haven't been playing Brotato as much because I've been playing a ton of Slay the Spire, and I am not feeling well, so building the character a little bit more defensively helps me avoid losing even despite those factors. Take the damage here, and then reroll. I could take 60 range. We actually could use range reasonably well on this character. We have a bunch already. Range does get better the more of it you have, because it starts being a stat that you can actually care about. If this was a level 4 range, I might take it. As is, yeah, I'm just rolling and taking some armor. Let's buy the Sickle. We don't need the Scar to hit level 25, I don't think, because we're level 24, so we'll just buy Catling Gun here. Sift's Relic, amazing. That's exactly the type of thing I'm looking for. I think I will take the small magazine as well. Attack speed matters a lot, and so even though we don't care about the range damage and losing percent damage is bad, attack speed is so important to this character. I'm just going to take that. We'll take the Cauldron. Go to wave 19 here. I see this a lot, and it's become, even clearer because I've been playing Slay the Spire a lot on the channel as well, where a lot of the times the way that people evaluate decisions is, what would it look like if this went perfectly? And that is usually not the way to think about things in games. You want to think about, what would this look like in the way it's actually or most likely going to go? And so people will build only damage under the assumption that they'll simply never walk into an enemy attack. To connect it back to what I was talking about earlier. Or in Slay the Spire, people really love filling their decks with absolute garbage and just assuming that they're never going to draw it, which is not exactly how you should play that game either. We'll take 5 armor here, and then we'll roll, take 20 more luck. That's great as well. Okay, Hourglass, unfortunately we can't take, because we're playing the Sick. There are ways we could do it if we had, because we don't have any passive regeneration, so Hourglass will instantly kill us. There are ways that we could do it if we spawn directly next to the medical turret. I think it takes 1.3 seconds for it to spawn, so it still won't save us, starting at 1 HP with the Hourglass. It is a really funny option, and I'm trying to think if there's any item that I could find that would make it possible for me to survive picking Hourglass here. Because if there is a single item in the game that we could find, I might pick it and then just hard roll and see if we could find an item that lets us live. But I don't think there is. We could never get enough regen for it, and the medical turret has to spawn in before it can fire, so even if we were right next to our medical turret at the start of the game, we would die before it finished spawning in. So I think we have to pass on the Hourglass. Kind of sad there. Yeah, I'll take a Sunglasses, I'll roll here. We don't need a coupon, we don't need a loot worm at this point. I'll take the Butterfly. Even more lifesteal is just kind of fun to have. We have okay engineering, so the nail is actually not horrible. This is +2 damage, basically, on all of our weapons, which is not great. We would get a lot more than that if we bought a mastery or something, so I think we'll pass on the nail. It does help with our pets as well, but just not by enough to matter here. Let's keep rolling. I'll take the Beanie because my movement speed is terrible. I'll take the Sickle, and I'll roll again. And Wheelbarrow, I think I'm going to pass on. At this point, I don't want to reduce my armor even for the 16 harvesting here. So we'll just buy a weapon, and we'll buy the Insanity. And then we're going to go to the boss wave. And I am, and I'll roll just for fun. I am being a little more careful here than you might think is necessary, but you saw how we got into trouble against that elite. And with really low movement speed, it can be pretty hard to avoid taking hits from the bosses as well. So we do actually need to pay some respect to Snailian and Whalian here. Though, given that our two medical turrets spawned right next to each other, we were able to just sit in one place and just absolutely blast them, which worked out very well. Too bad I couldn't buy that hourglass, but we would have died instantly, which would have been sad. All right, looking at our items here, 765 off the 3 bags, pretty good. The Blazemander, actually a not terrible 18k damage. It did better than I thought it would. The fruit baskets for only 67 extra HP. Sleeper agents activate in the comments. And we have 3 extra crates from our treasure map. Our treasure map did horribly. We had 250 luck, and we just did not find that many crates, I guess, into the end game. Our bottom mine did very little damage, but it was there as a lifesteal tool. Our bonk dog actually did surprisingly low damage, though we only had 20 melee damage, but still, you'd expect it to do a little bit better. We also only had 46% damage, which is lower than you usually would have. Hunting trophy did great. We had built a ton of crit, so 525 off the hunting trophy, 231 healing from our medical turrets. Incredible performance from those. Extra stomach, 38 extra health. So you can see that even if you have a damage over time item, the extra stomach is still a great option, even on the sick that's not regenerating. It still just gave us a bunch of health. Obviously, some of that was on the last wave, but this actually performed even better than I thought it would, and so science accomplished successfully. We know that extra stomach, even with this specific setup, still a lot of extra HP. Gobblers had, of course, a ton of extra money. Goblet, 106 healing. This coupon for 145, or for 149. The ashes, of course, cost me 3 armor, but that was worth the extra stats there. We did go past level 25, and the barnacle was worth it there. Gatling guns, not very much damage, but, of course, a bunch of lifesteal as well, and same with the rats. Alright, my friends, I hope that you enjoyed that run. As always, of course, if you have enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a comment and hit like. Helps me out with the algorithm, so I appreciate you taking the time to do that. And of course, you can subscribe to my channel for more Brotato and other strategy game analysis. Cheers, folks, and I'll catch you next time, hopefully feeling a little better.